spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
I will say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football, the only NFL show you need that gives you everything you need to know each day in just 30 minutes. I am your host, Brian McFadden. Joining me as he is doing every Friday going forward is Tanner Kern from Cold Hard Football Facts. It's Friday, October 21st, which means we are here to preview the week ahead, NFL Week 7. We're going to be doing game picks against the spread, talk about who we think is just going to straight up win the game, and Tanner's going to be giving his top player props at the end of the episode each week. Tanner, are you ready for another week of exciting NFL action here?
Definitely. I mean, player props are the only thing I'm doing pretty good right now. So I'm very excited to add that segment officially to the end of the show.
Yeah, it's where you really dive in deep. You use all the data, you use your insight. So we couldn't not do that. We've been kind of doing it haphazardly anyway at the end of the show. So we're like, you know what? Let's just make it official. He's got great insight on the games, but he really, really knows his player props. But hey, we're still going to keep track of the score. For those that are watching on Pro Football Demons channel, we're also broadcasting to Tanner's channel as well. So we got 3 simultaneous YouTube channels going on. Guys, feel free to throw some comments on how you feel about our picks. If you have some questions, maybe we'll try to get to them. Last week, Pro Football Demon finally won 8-6. I think this is his first winning record in a week. Good for you. Look, his Jets are winning. He's winning in the scores, the spread picks on our Friday show. I went 7-7, Tanner 5-8. But like I said, and like he said, he's here for the player props, and we've restarted the scorecard since Tanner joined us. So this is just for the last 2 weeks, because let's go ahead and say this, Pro Football Demon, I was way ahead of you on the picks. So we it's good that we got a reset. As of the last 2 weeks, I'm at 15-15, 500. Even Steven, Tanner at 11-17. He doesn't pick the Thursday night games, which is why there's a slight discrepancy. He's at a 392 winning percentage. Pro Football Demon slightly ahead, 13-17 at 433. That being said, sorry to start off on the negative news for you, Tanner. Are you ready to get this party started here?
Definitely. Hey, it only takes one good week, so we'll get back on that.
Exactly. And it's still so early. We're going into week 7 out of 18. Without further ado, here's what we're doing. We're jumping right in. 30 minutes of football with Legit Football starts now. So before we actually preview the games, as we do, let's go ahead and take a look at a couple things. I do want to talk about Christian McCaffrey, but let's we had at least an entertaining game last night. What are your quick thoughts on the Cardinals win over the Saints from Thursday Night Football?
My thoughts are that the Cardinals are pretty bad still. I mean, if it wasn't for the 2 pick sixes, that's a game. Right. Now I was lucky I had Cardinals -2.5, Cardinals money line, but the pick sixes definitely saved them. I thought early in the game, Andy Dalton was going to deliver, and I thought he was going to have a great game. And it's amazing. Two plays changes that right before the half. So Kyler Murray, they still got some things to work on. DeAndre Hopkins being back really helped them out. But as a whole, I'm still not high on the Cardinals by any means.
Same. There's a reason why I picked Arizona to win and cover, but my confidence level was only 2 because we just don't know what we're getting out of this Arizona's team. You said it, Tanner. Without those 2 pick sixes, this is an entirely different football game. And we do have to say the return of DeAndre Hopkins played out pretty much exactly as we thought. He had, I think, 13 or 14 targets, 10 catches for over 100 yards. He's only going to get better as he gets back into the swing of this offense. We know how much Kyler likes to hyper target him. So in the player prop department, that's a positive here. And the fact that Arizona got a win. Bad look for New Orleans, though, going forward. I want to hear your thoughts on the Christian McCaffrey trade. This came out during Thursday Night Football. Carolina Panthers trading Christian McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers for a whole bunch of picks, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th from next year, and a 4th from 2024. Just on a high level, what were your first thoughts when you saw this trade go down?
I mean, they went from 25-1 to 17-1 to win the Super Bowl, I believe, because of this. I could be wrong with those numbers, but it was a significant drop because of Christian McCaffrey. My fear with him, I mean, I've been on the Christian McCaffrey fantasy bandwagon the past 2 years that have just gotten killed by his injuries. I don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy, but if he does, it takes the San Francisco team up to a completely different level. They didn't look good against Atlanta last week. They needed a run game. He can bring that. He can also catch balls out of the backfield from Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy that might struggle to get the ball down the field a little bit. So just having that safety valve from Christian McCaffrey is huge. But with that being said, I still think they got a lot of stuff to work on, and he's got to stay healthy. So there's a lot of unknowns here.
I do like the move overall. I don't know how it is long term, but this is clearly San Francisco's trying to make a run.
Yeah.
He's not just a running back. McCaffrey is a weapon. Think of him like Debo, but instead of playing wide receiver and also running back, he plays running back and also wide receiver. So he fits that Shanahan scheme. He's great yards after the catch. I do think he'll be a boost. To be determined how much he plays this week. He is, I think, en route to the Bay Area as we speak. He's going to stop by practice, but not practice. He will be active from what I'm hearing, and maybe they'll get him in some red zone packages. All right. We've killed 3 minutes. Let's go ahead and jump into the Week 7 Sunday action, starting with AFC North showdown. Cleveland Browns traveling to the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens favored by 6.5. I don't love the spread here. I do think the Ravens will win this game, but how are you seeing this? Do you like that 6.5 points there?
Well, you just can't trust the Ravens at this point in the season, right? I mean, how many games are you going to blow? Their offense is fantastic, but defensively, they don't measure up to the standard in really anything. Cleveland coming off a very bad performance, leaving a sour taste in their mouth. But I don't think they're a bad football team either. I think defensively, they match up decent against Baltimore. And then offensively, I do think they're going to be able to score because the Ravens on defense just haven't been that good. And if you go into the fourth quarter down 10 to Baltimore, you still got a chance to come back and cover with how they played. So I'm going to be on Cleveland.
Yeah, this is one of my more confident picks, 11 out of 14. I do think the Ravens will be good enough to beat the Browns, but 6.5 points in a division game. But you specifically said it. Why I'm high on Cleveland is this Ravens team has not been able to finish off anybody to where it's not even that it's close. And yeah, they squeaked out against Cincinnati, but they actually lost to the Giants. They lost to the Dolphins. They lost to the Bills. All of those games late. So even if they do pull out the win against Cleveland here, I can't see it being by 7 points or more, especially being a division foe. I believe I've got the Pro Football Demon picks at the bottom. So he is with us. He is also picking Cleveland to cover that game, but he's got the Ravens winning. Let's go on to stay in the AFC North. Cincinnati Bengals finally starting to get that offense going. Over 30 points. Jamar Chase with two touchdowns of 130 yards. Joe Burrow with 300 yards, multiple touchdowns, including one on the grounds. They are favored by 5.5 points at home against a Falcons team that is undefeated against the spread this year. How do you like this game?
The Falcons stepped up big last week. I'm lucky I didn't place a live bet on San Francisco at plus 6.5 when they were down early. But you look at the Bengals, they're really good right now. They're starting to get back to that form of a division title kind of team. Joe Burrow's playing really well, 300 yards last week, 3 touchdowns. Jamar Chase stepped up big, 7 receptions, 132 yards. So I look at this Bengals team. I think they do find a way to cover as long as they don't let Atlanta hang around. They got to put them away when they get the opportunity because the Falcons have been great against the spread this year because teams have not put them away.
Yeah, and I was hesitant. I do have a high confidence level in this. That's a little bit more of an instinct because Atlanta has been so competitive. They've been so spicy to stay in these games that you think they came back and almost beat the Rams. They were beating the Saints in week 1 before that came apart. I correctly called them to actually win and cover last week against San Francisco. I didn't know they were going to do it by 14 points. There's a defensive touchdown in there. But I just think the Cincinnati team is trending in the right direction right now. I really like that this offense is finally coming together. They're getting more efficient in the run game. The offensive line is finally starting to gel. And I think Jamar Chase has been unlocked. I just don't think Atlanta can hang. This is more of a momentum game. I think that the Bengals will not only win, but they will cover that 5.5. I have a confidence level at 10. Pro Football Demon completely disagrees. He not only thinks that Atlanta will cover, he has Atlanta to win this game on the road. I love this Falcons team. The Bengals did just let up 200 yards to the Saints on the ground. Atlanta wants to run the ball. I could very clearly see that happening logically. This is more of like an instinct. I just think this is the game that Atlanta comes down a little bit. The Bengals defense has been playing fairly well, especially against the pass. Mariota could make a mistake or two. That's why I'm going with Cincinnati to cover. All right, let's talk about the Detroit Lions off of their bye, taking on Dak Prescott, set to start in his first game back after injury in Dallas. Cowboys are favored by 6.5 at home. How do you see this one?
I'm going to be on the Lions in game at plus 6.5. I don't like either side of it, really. So just disclaimer there, I probably wouldn't bet this one. But if we look at Detroit, they're coming off a bye week. They got to be improved on defense, and they can score. And the thing that we saw with the Cowboys when Dak Prescott was there for one game, and just overall, I don't think they call a great game when he's in. I think they try to force him into doing too many things. And right now, with a thumb injury, you can't afford to do that. So I want to see what Dallas looks like with Dak Prescott, see if they can be dominant. And you would think, oh, well, they're dominant with Cooper Rush. They should be good with Dak Prescott. Not necessarily, because their whole offensive philosophy changes. I think Detroit's got to be better coming out of a bye week on defense, and we know they can score offensively.
Yeah, this one was not straightforward for me. I have them at an 8 confidence, more because of that Lions defense. I just think that this is a very good matchup for Dak in general, but I do have concerns. The last time we saw Dak before the injury, he looked really bad in week 1. That offense wasn't playing well at all. Cooper Rush comes in, it stabilizes. But this Lions defense, the last we saw, they were letting up, 29 points to the Patriots.
Yeah.
And the offense also looked bad. So the Lions, I know they got a week to rest. They're going to get Amon-Ra St. Brown healthy again. DeAndre Swift pushing to play. Those will be huge. But I just think that Dallas couldn't have asked for much better matchup for Dak's return. And I am picking Dallas to cover this game and therefore win. So I think it's 7 points. I have an 8 confidence. I'm starting to think that confidence is too high. I would want to bump that down. Pro Football Demon has the Lions covering, but not winning. So he likes Dallas to win. He's been higher on Detroit than a lot of people. I'm sure that makes Anthony, our producer, happy. Let's go on to Green Bay at Washington. Washington set to start Taylor Heineke at quarterback. Green Bay Packers fresh off 2 losses to those New York teams, favored by 5.5 points on the road, Tanner.
If Green Bay can't win this game, I don't know what to say. I've officially given up on them. I mean, this is probably my spread of the week, just because you look at the team difference here roster-wise. Packers are a lot better. They're underperforming. I know they got some problems with Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers not necessarily getting along, thinking the offense is too complicated, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care about that. If the Packers would have played better on special teams last week, they would have probably – it would have been a lot closer.
It would have been closer, at least. Yeah.
They would have had a chance to win. I mean, they gave the Jets a lot of points on special teams, gave them great field position. So I'm going to be on the Packers. They have to win this game. You can't lose to 3 teams in a row if you're the Green Bay Packers trying to win the NFC and get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and Washington has one of the worst secondaries in the NFL right now. So I think this is a game. If there's a get-right game for Rodgers, the way this Packers season is played out, this would be it. I could see them really going pass heavy, and Rodgers just trying to make a statement after 2 straight losses, and the whole comments about simplifying the offense and all of that. But you're right. If that doesn't happen, if that narrative doesn't play out, then there are serious concerns in Green Bay. Even if this game is close and they pull out a victory against a Commanders team that barely beat the Bears, right? And their only other victory was week 1 against the Jaguars. This is not a good Washington team by any means. And if the Packers struggle in this game, then there are real concerns going forward as it pertains to the Packers as an NFC playoff contender. Yeah. All right, let's go to the Tampa Bay. Oh, don't want to go too far before I mention Pro Football Demons picks. He has the Packers covering and winning this game. All right, so let's go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers. Panthers, as we mentioned, now without their really only productive offensive player in Christian McCaffrey. Tampa Bay, off that very disappointing loss to the Steelers. B. Orlovsky in the chat, going to go ahead and put that a good game last week from a Pittsburgh fan. Got to highlight. I don't think anybody really called, short of maybe some Steelers fans, that they would not only cover but beat the Bucs last week. Do we have enough confidence in the Bucs offense to cover a 10.5 point spread? It is against the Panthers. The Panthers have an all right defense. They did get a pick 6 last week against the Rams, but Stafford is prone to throwing those. How do you feel about 10.5 points for the Bucs on the road here?
I feel fine about it. I don't know if Carolina is going to be able to score too much, so that makes Tampa Bay not have to score to cover the spread. I think the Buccaneers are going to be better, though, with Tom Brady. Obviously, we saw what he did to his offensive line, just berated them on the sidelines last week. Hopefully they're better, but when you look at Carolina, you don't have Robbie Anderson anymore. You don't have Christian McCaffrey. You got your head coach was fired. There's just a lot going wrong for Carolina. So even with the hook at 10.5, I still think Tampa Bay can easily win this game by 17 points.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't have a high confidence level. That's really more because of the spread being so high and Tampa Bay's offense being so disappointing. But I think it could play out a lot like the Rams game did last week. The Rams offense wasn't exactly lighting up the Carolina defense, but they didn't need to. Carolina scored 10 points, and 7 of those was a defensive touchdown. You take that away, they had 3 points. This Bucs defense is better than the Rams defense. So I think it could just play out like that. Even if it's a 17-3 game, you've already covered. So Tampa Bay doesn't need to score 26 points to cover this spread. So I am picking Tampa Bay to cover. Pro Football Demons on the opposite side. He thinks the Bucs will win, but he thinks it'll be closer than 10.5 points. So he is picking Carolina to cover. Once again, my confidence level is 3 for this. Not for the Tampa Bay victory, but that 10.5 points. I just haven't liked this Bucs offense. Another get right game, though. Once again, if this game is close, real concerns for Tampa Bay going forward on the offensive side of the ball. All right, we got about just under 3 minutes left until halftime. Let's talk about the New York Giants at the Jacksonville Jaguars. This one baffles me. The Jaguars are 2-4. They are favored at home 2.5 points against the New York Giants, who are 5-1. At what point do the Giants get some respect here, Tanner?
I think statistically, Jacksonville's not as bad as their record shows. I mean, they had a couple bad weeks, obviously. I've been high on the Jaguars all season. I went against them with the Colts last week. That worked out in my favor, and they found a way to cover down the stretch because of the miracle touchdown pass. But New York's good. They're good on defense. They're very physical. They take a lot of chances. Saquon's having a great year. That's probably going to be one of my props, a little teaser for the end of the show. I like Saquon to run the ball on Jacksonville. The biggest thing about them is, can they stop the pass, right? And New York doesn't throw the ball much. Daniel Jones might be forced to throw the ball this week a little bit. If he can do that and they can be efficient and stay ahead of the chains, I do think New York covers and wins this game outright.
Yeah, I've been high on Jacksonville too, and they keep biting me. So I just feel like I'm tired of disrespecting the Giants. They've moved up high in our power rankings. They're finding ways to win. At some point, you have to stop looking at the roster and your preseason ideas of what this Giants team would be and say, this team is just finding ways to win. They do have some playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. Saquon, one of the best running backs in the NFL. They don't have to do a lot offensively. Wan'Dale Robinson started to look a little better. Maybe he's a weapon that gets going. So I have the Giants outright winning and covering this game. I think that's one of the easier ones. The 7 confidence is more just like, I don't know. Maybe that's my preconceived motion. Like I just can't get over the Giants, just decisively winning. Pro Football Demon is with us. We're all aligned here that the Giants will cover that game and win that 2.5 points against the Jags. Watch, this is the week that the Jags actually come out and put up 30 points. All right, let's see if we can get to one more game before halftime. Sticking in the AFC South, Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans. Anytime these two teams play, I have very, very hard trouble picking, this is my least confident game of the week. Tennessee is favored by 2.5 points at home. How do you see this game playing out?
So I wanted to be on Indianapolis. I really did, because they have to win this game to realistically have a shot in the division. Tennessee can sweep Indianapolis. They just played a few weeks ago. It's tough to beat a team twice. There's a lot favoring Indianapolis despite being on the road. With that being said, what I saw of the Colts last week in their effort to stop the run was very, very bad. Like they cannot stop the run at all. And when you look at Tennessee, if you can't stop Derrick Henry, who's coming off back-to-back 100-yard gains, you're going to have a lot of trouble. So that's the one reason that I'm leaning towards Tennessee in this game at 2.5.
All right, I am going to visit my pick for this game and Pro Football Demons picks after halftime, but we do have a sponsor. Today's show presented by Streaker Sports. Streaker Sports has revived vintage art from old team pennants from the NFL, game programs, and more to create their unique NFL founding year collection of t-shirts and cozy sweatshirts. Streaker also has collections celebrating sports culture, including a licensed Miracle on Ice collection for you hockey fans out there, and apparel from movies like Slapshot and Caddyshack. For a limited time, use the checkout code LEGIT20. You can see it on the screen here. LEGIT20 will get you 20% off the entire site. But if you're just in it for the NFL, check out streakersports.com. Go to their NFL collection. If you're a legit football subscriber, you'll see that they sponsored our trivia today. So if you click on the button that takes you to the answer of who's leading the NFL in touchdown receptions this year, it will take you right to Streaker's website. I've bought one of their shirts. I'm looking forward to getting my Dolphins founding t-shirt. Super excited about that. So go ahead and go to Streaker Sports and use the code LEGIT20. Get 20% off for a limited time. Tanner, let everybody know where they can find your stuff.
Yeah, so Cold Hard Football Facts is the #1 place for my NFL content. We just debuted our stats and picks against the spread. We're doing totals, spread picks, money line based on our stats. So we usually wait till week 6 to release this, just so we have some data to go off. So you can find all that at coldhardfootballfacts.com. Promo code kickoff is going to get you 50% off. And then you just find me on social media at Tanner Kern, pretty much everywhere.
There you go. All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into the second half. We've got more games to cover, and we want to make sure we give plenty of time for Tanner's player props so that you guys can make the right decisions in your player prop bets this weekend. So Anthony, go ahead and fire that timer back up. Let's bring our picks back. And let's bring Pro Football Demon. All right, so we're going to continue on with the Indianapolis Colts at the Titans. I mentioned earlier, this is my one confidence, just because, yes, logically, on paper, it looks like the Titans should win this, but you mentioned so many factors, Tanner. The Titans won their last matchup, which was only 2 to 3 weeks ago. It's so hard, especially in division, to beat a team twice so consecutively. I really like how the Colts played last week. They surprised me with their passing game, especially. Matt Ryan throwing the ball 58 times at what is he, 39 years old? But finding some success with it, right? And Deion Jackson played in well, and it's looking like they're finally going to have Jonathan Taylor back. So I don't feel great about this, but I am leaning for the Colts on the road. They showed me enough last week to make me feel comfortable at least picking them to cover that 2.5. I'm also picking them to win the game. I feel a little bit better about the spread because I could see Tennessee kind of eking out like a 2-point victory here. Pro Football Demon is aligned with you in picking the Titans to win and cover this game at home. All right, Las Vegas Raiders, fresh off their bye last week, taking on the Houston Texans, also off their bye. Vegas is 6.5-point favors at home. How do you like this game, Tanner?
I mean, I like Vegas. I think both teams are off to a really disappointing start. We kind of expected it from Houston, but we thought the Raiders would be a little better than they are. Bottom line, this game, I think the Raiders are just better on both sides of the ball, and they need a win at home. This is a good time to do it against Houston Texans, getting almost 70 yards per game more on offense. And then defensively, I mean, they're giving up about 50 yards less per game. I like them to win the ball. I like them to win the game. I like them to run the football and enforce their will on Houston. I think this will be a commanding victory.
Yeah, I love the get right narrative. You'll hear me say that a lot. You probably heard me say that. I've already mentioned it for 2 other games, and this is another ideal spot for a Vegas team that we know can put up points. They've really found their identity in the running game lately. Josh Jacobs is actually a top 5 running back over the last few weeks, and this is a team that they got their first victory over Denver. They were right neck and neck with the Chiefs, and then their 2 wide receivers run into each other on the last play. They have the legal issues with Devontae Adams shoving a guy, but they got a week off. They got a week off to get healthy. They got a week off to recover, and they get a Houston team that has trouble moving the ball outside of maybe Dameon Pierce and has trouble stopping the run. So Vegas has this identity now under Josh McDaniels and Josh Jacobs' success to just want to pound the ball. It's a home game. I really like how this plays out. The confidence level is 6 just because maybe the game could be a little closer than 7 points. Vegas still only has 1 victory on the season, but I think this is a game where we finally get to see that Vegas offense get to stretch its legs. I would probably say they win by 10 or more. I'm picking them to cover the 6.5. Pro Football Demon is picking Houston to cover, but Vegas to win. Once again, my confidence level is 6 on this. Let's talk about Pro Football Demon's Jets. Still not getting any love. As bad as this is, just like the Jacksonville game. Denver is at home, sure, but they're 2-4, and they're favored to win by 3.5 points against a Jets team that's 4-2, just beat the Packers, and completely dominated the Dolphins the week before that. Is this just kind of like the Giants, Tanner? Is this just is it the Jets' name that is guiding this 3.5 point underdog spread here?
I think it's the name a little bit. But with that being said, if you look at the New York teams that are heating up right now, like the Jets and the Giants, I would have to say that the Giants are more legit than the Jets. That's just my take. I know they've won 3 games in a row, but you look at their wins. I mean, they beat the Browns. I don't think the Browns are that good. They beat the Steelers, the Dolphins without a quarterback. They beat the Packers, and the Packers gave them 1 million points on special teams. So I do like New York Jets in this game at plus 3.5. I think they're developing. I think they're a decent football team, and I just simply can't trust Denver. Whether Russell Wilson plays or not this week, I can't trust Nathaniel Hackett. I can't trust any. I mean, it looked like they were going to score 50 points the other night. They got off to a great start, and then they just totally shut down, and it just wasn't a good night for them at all, and that's what we've come to expect from Denver. So I think with the hook there, New York's pretty appealing.
Yeah, the best thing about this Jets team has been the defense. Yeah. Right. So Sauce Gardner is one of the best rookie cornerbacks, one of the best maybe cornerbacks already with the way he's playing and shutting down wide receivers. Quinnen Williams with 10 QB pressures against the Packers last week. There's just a lot to like about this defense. And going up against the Broncos offense, like you said, Tanner, I don't care who's playing quarterback. It's certainly not going to be better with Brett Rippon at quarterback. Nathaniel Hackett has shown that he can't really call a good game. And this team has just not been able to put up points in multiple games. It doesn't matter that it's a home, 3.5 points, even if you don't like the Jets to win, which I am picking the Jets to win. No surprise, Pro Football Demon is all over this game. He said Jets win big, but to his credit, he said Jets win big against the Packers last week, and he was right. 3.5 points, I think, is disrespectful. This is my second most confident game. I think even if Denver does win this game, to think that they can win by 4 points or more against this Jets defense that's been so good. And Breece Hall has been so dynamic and he's only getting better. I really like this as one of my top picks this week. Definitely going New York to cover and win on the road. Let's go to one of probably the best matchups this week as far as maybe future implications on the playoffs of both conferences. Kansas City Chiefs traveling to Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Chiefs favored by 2.5 on the road. How do you like this one, Tanner?
All over the Chiefs in this game. I mean, they played good enough to win against Buffalo. It just didn't turn out their way. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, 2 picks in that game. He's got to be a little better. But the Chiefs are still top tier in the AFC. Number 1A, 1B, right? Depending on the week with the Buffalo Bills, even though they got beat. Going against San Francisco, coming off a really bad performance on the road against Atlanta. I like San Francisco. I do. I think that they're good on defense, but I feel like they've regressed a little bit in the past couple weeks. So I'm going to be on Kansas City at 2.5. I think overall they're more consistent, and that's why you got to ride with them.
Yeah, on the other side of the ball, Kansas City has had struggles on defense, but it has been stopping the pass. They've actually been fairly good against the run, and they have a pretty good pass rush. On the other side, the Niners, their best success comes when they control the ball on the ground. So I don't think there's a good matchup there. As good as San Francisco's defense has been, it looks like they're going to get Nick Bosa back. There's still injuries. Hufanga is still in concussion protocol. Looked like he's not going to play. Their star safety. Emmanuel Mosley lost 2 weeks ago for the season. Travarius Ward looks like he'll be okay, but he did get injured to start last game. And there's only so much you can do to stop the Chiefs. You can just hope to slow them down. I just don't see San Francisco scoring enough points to keep up. So I also like the Chiefs to cover that 2.5 points. Christian McCaffrey is supposed to be active for this game. He's not going to get a chance to practice, so I don't think we're going to expect a lot from him. I've heard that he's going to be maybe involved in red zone packages, but not enough to actually move the needle with how I would pick this game. Pro Football Demon is against us here. He actually thinks that the Niners will win the game and therefore cover at home. This is definitely one of the games I have my eyes on. You guys probably know that I've said it before. I'm a weekly guest on the 49ers Rush podcast, so look forward to covering this game next week. But I am picking Kansas City to win and cover that 2.5 points. All right, let's stay in the NFC West. Seattle Seahawks, 6.5 point underdogs at the Los Angeles Chargers. How do you see this, Tanner?
This could be my favorite spread of the week. Well, I mean, I know I said Green Bay, but I do like Seattle at +6.5 compared to LA. The line's actually dropping significantly on various books right now. People are hammering the Seahawks. When you look at Seattle, just the way Geno Smith has played this year has been probably one of the best storylines of the season. He's third in our real quarterback rating at Cold Hard Football Facts, which is a huge indicator of winning football teams. And they're only 2 spots behind the Chargers in our quality stats power ranking. So the fact that they're getting 6.5 points, can't resist it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. This is my third most confident with a confidence rating of 12. 6.5 points. This is one of my upsets. So I have a few upsets. To me, the Giants and Jets are technically upsets. And I'm picking the Colts to beat the Titans. My other one is I'm picking Seattle to win this game. I like how it matches up. LA has the defense is my biggest question there. Yes, that Joey Bosa is injured, but that takes you have to take that into account. JC Jackson, who we were touting as such a great signing in the offseason, has actually been one of the worst defense. We got benched last week. They took him out of the game.
I don't think he was that good in New England, honestly. I know he was an all-pro, and that might sound crazy, but Bill Belichick's scheme put him in positions to be successful because going into the season, people were ripping on JC Jackson for not being that good.
We have seen this over and over again with New England players who excel when they're on the Patriots defense. They go to other teams and they're just not the same player. And guess what? New England ends up bringing them back later, and then they revive their level of success. So you're 100% right there. Maybe it is JC Jackson just fits so well in that New England defense that he outplayed his actual talent, and we're seeing more like what he plays now. He's also much more of a man corner. Chargers play a lot of zone under Brandon Staley, but this whole defense, they still have Derwin James. They've got other playmakers. Khalil Mack, they just haven't been good, and they've especially not been good against the run. Well, what does Seattle like to do under Pete Carroll? They like to run the ball. I really like how Kenneth Walker has been playing. So even if you're not with me on Seattle winning this game, 6.5 points. I could see the Seahawks controlling it. By the way, it doesn't matter that it's in LA. They're both West Coast teams. You can't say the time difference. And Chargers fans don't show up at SoFi for LA. It's almost always the away team, and Seattle fans don't have to travel that far. I expect to see more Seahawks fans in the stands than LA fans. So I think this game will be close. Seattle will control the ball. That's why I'm picking them to win and to cover. Pro Football Demon is on Seattle to cover, but he does think the Chargers will win this game. Again, my confidence level is 12. Really feeling good about this one. Two more games. Let's talk about Sunday night. My Miami Dolphins get Tua Tagovailoa back at quarterback, hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers, fresh off their victory against the Bucs. 6.5 points. Not crazy about that spread based on how Miami's been playing, but that was without Tua. Do you like this 6.5 points for the Dolphins here on Sunday Night Football?
I don't like them. I don't like Pittsburgh at plus 6.5. I'd rather I don't love the spread in general, but I'd rather lean towards Miami with Tua being back. Pittsburgh had their Super Bowl last weekend against Tampa Bay. I think I don't think you're going to get better than that. I think they're going to regress still on offense. They're not going to look good there defensively. Miami presents a lot of problems for them just because of their speed. So I'm still going to be on the Dolphins.
I know that the Dolphins lost to the Vikings last week, but the Dolphins defense actually played really well. They forced 10 3-and-outs against the Vikings, and it was really just the Dolphins offense they're losing the quarterback for 3 straight weeks, Skylar Thompson, having to get Teddy Bridgewater in there, and then Dalvin Cook breaks one long run, and they had one other good drive. That's it. This Dolphins defense actually has played well. The stats don't necessarily show that. Going up against a Pittsburgh offense that has not been very good, we can take the Bucs game out of that, and on the defensive side of the ball, even without Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle had nearly 300 yards receiving. Add Tua in there. The metrics are so much higher when he's playing quarterback in this McDaniel offense. So I think they'll put up points. Steelers with one of the worst pass rush rates without TJ Watt this year. And their secondary has been banged up. And they're one of the worst at allowing, I think they're 30th as far as allowing deep plays. We saw what happened against the Bills. So I think this game just sets up really well. Sunday Night Football. Looking forward to seeing Tua back. I am picking the Dolphins to cover. Not confident, more on the spread. I don't love the 6.5, but I am picking the Dolphins to cover, but my confidence level is 4. Pro Football Demon agrees with us. He is going with Miami to win and cover that 6.5. All right, one more game, and then we'll get to the player props. Monday Night Football. Not a lot of analysis needed here. New England Patriots at home on Monday night against the Chicago Bears. 7.5 points. Tanner, make your picks here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love 7.5 just in general. It doesn't matter if the Bills are playing against the Texans, right? In general, but overall, the Patriots are going to win this game, and they should smoke them. That's basically my analysis. Bailey Zappi looks really good. He looks really good, and they're running the football now, and they're playing great on defense, and they're actually 3rd in our quality stats power rankings for efficiency because of what Zappi's done with the offense. But defensively, they've really come together the past few weeks, so can't resist it.
Yeah, it's looking like Mac Jones will start. That doesn't really move the needle either way. Zappi, Jones. When you have a one-dimensional offense and you go up against the Bill Belichick defense, all they have to do is shut down that Chicago run game, and then the Bears are lost. The Patriots offense has been much more efficient. This is my confidence level of 14. I'm the most confident that not only will the Patriots win this game on Monday night at home, but they will win by more than 7.5 points. Pro Football Demon is aligned with me here. All right, we got about 1:45 left. Tanner, let's turn it over to you. Give us your player props of the week.
So there's a few that I really like. The first being Derrick Henry over 88.5 rushing yards. It's simple. It's very simple. I mean, the Colts last week, they gave up a lot of yards on the ground. Defensive rusher rating in our Cold Hard Football Facts, which is how I basically base all my picks off of. They're 17th in defensive rusher rating. And on top of that, they're 17th in bendability. So they do tend to give up a lot of big plays. That's definitely high on my list there. And then I also like Saquon Barkley over 78.5 rushing yards. Same kind of concept here. You look at the Jaguars, not great against the run. And we know with the Giants that they need to pound the rock to be successful, to set Daniel Jones up to pass the ball. So going to go over on his rushing total there. Both guys have been hitting at a high rate this year. I'm going to be on Tom Brady's passing yardage total. It has not come out yet. But I just think it's a really good spot for them against the Carolina Panthers. They're 22nd in bendability. They give up a lot of big plays. 28th or 17th, I should say, in defensive real passing yards per attempt. So giving up a lot of yards to the air. So that's one that I'll be on. And then anytime touchdown scores, Leonard Fournette and Mike Evans, looking at both those guys.
All right. And if people want to track you, I know you have your own Dub Club thing. Why don't you go ahead and plug where people can track your plays for your player props and how they can kind of get into some of the other sports betting stuff you're doing?
Yeah. So we send out plays on my Dub Club. So that's just, if you go to my social media, Tanner Kern, in the link in the bio, you can find it there. But basically plays get texted to your phone, live bets, regular bets. And we got a free trial till November 1st right now. So good time to sign up.
All right, guys, just over 10 seconds, or just under 10 seconds left. Reminder, Streaker Sports is presenting this episode as well as our newsletter today. Streakersports.com, legit20. Use code legit20, get 20% off. Go ahead and buy some cool vintage sports gear. All right, that is it for the week. Tanner, any high-level last-second thoughts before we go into the weekend in Week 7 in the NFL?
I hope Green Bay can win. I mean, I'll be shocked if they don't.
Yeah, a lot of matchups that could be lopsided. Teams that, if we've mentioned it multiple times, Tanner, if they win this game decisively, good, they should. If they don't, huge question marks that we're going to be talking about on this show next week. Guys, if your first time here, it doesn't matter what channel you're watching on, Tanner's channel, Pro Football Demon, 30 Minutes of Football, please subscribe to all of them on YouTube. If you're listening in the podcast, subscribe as well. If you're new, go to legitfootball.com, sign up for our free daily newsletter. It's going to give you everything you need to know about the NFL, top 6 stories, all the injury news, direct to your inbox every morning, 5 days a week, all year long. Check out Tanner everywhere you can find his social media, Tanner Kern, and check out Cold Hard Football Facts as well. Guys, enjoy the games going into Week 7. This has been 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. We'll see you next week. That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.